And I wrote this after him calling me up and telling me this little story. And I want to tell it to you in the form of this poem called Yevgeny Stole My Pencils. It began with a birthday for my Russian friend. He asked me to attend his celebration. I eagerly agreed and secured transportation, flying halfway around the world for this event. A stranger though I was, with my poetry at hand, I spoke to 500 souls in the room, not counting those who watched on television. I confessed to them my weakness for putting pencils in my pocket. They seemed to understand the depth of my problem. They were sympathetic to an American stranger with a need. Then a fortnight passes, bringing with it my Russian friend to another poetry reading where treasures were entrusted to him for the stranger that he once brought to them. That would be me. Remembering my weakness, each gave to him a pencil of various colors for him to pass along to me upon his return to America. And though his intentions were noble to begin with, they ended with a different note. And my rightful property never reached my hands. Instead, he absconded with them to his hermitage, where he battled with a deadline and a conscience, crafting an anthology of poetry and prose, a 3-volume work of words spanning 2,000 years of Russian history, 3,000 pages of Russian poetry. But it was more than Russian history. It was voices that could not be silenced. You see, it seemed he needed my pencils in all of their various colors to glean that final version of his efforts. And although now it is too late and I have no other choice, I will concede ownership to that treasure of pencils that was once almost mine. And I hold no ill feelings toward my friend Yevtuchenko. I must blame myself instead for his falling victim to my influence. I never intended to corrupt him through example of my own personal weakness, but apparently I have. And now I can but wonder how many others have been given in to temptation and taken someone's pencil because their own it was no longer there. And I put that idea in their head. And perhaps others can learn from these samples of weakness, and the effect will leave a lasting impression on the world. Yeah, I can see a pandemic slowly spreading across all borders. A pandemic of purloined pencils in the hands of poets for the sole purpose of poetry. A far better fate than pencils in bondage, than pencils deprived of paper, and thus deprived of a voice of the soul. For nothing is worse than a voice never heard. Nothing is worse than a hand without a pencil, when only that pencil is able to speak.